que la guerra contra las drogas ha fracasado rotundamente.
We need to talk about cocaine.
Especially in East Germany, it's really, really easy to get drugs, even hard ones.
You can just walk into a club and get your hands on something in under 5 minutes.
Europe's cocaine crisis is getting wider and deeper.
The coke is everywhere.
It's pretty much the most profitable substance in the entire world.
From blackmail to kidnappings and torture, criminal gangs have unleashed an unprecedented wave of drug-related violence.
All the big Colombian drug dealers, they going to Europe. It's easier to import the drug.
It'll only end up with you being captured or killed.
Long video.
One of the Netherlands' most renowned crime reporters has been shot and seriously wounded in Amsterdam.
A set of shipping containers converted into a makeshift prison with a soundproof torture chamber.
Yo. Look, interesting. I'll give it a shot.
These days, cocaine is everywhere. On TV, in music, in clubs, and at work.
You ordered Diet Coke, that's a joke, right?
We wanted to know more about this drug. Where does it come from? What does it do to those who consume it? And why is it all of a sudden flooding Europe? We had a ton of questions.
All of a sudden?
So we started looking for answers. From scientists, experts, doctors, users, and you. A few months ago, we asked viewers of our German channel to share their experiences with cocaine. Nearly 4,000 of them reached out to us. From all their stories, we created these characters. They're based on real people from Germany, but we changed their voices and fictionalized their names. Of course, their stories aren't representative of society in general, but they do help us better understand cocaine. Let's dive in.
Right.
Tony just started his shift as a doorman at the club, but he's
another foreign video with sketchy sources portraying themselves as factual truth. Yeah, I think they try to paint an accurate narrative, and sometimes it's bad, but I don't think it's always
fighting
bad.
off
I think it's
exhaustion.
pretty decent with it usually.
I work 12-hour shifts in my main job. It's a 2-shift system, days and nights. A constant, unhealthy change. You just run out of energy after a while.
inside the club. Linda has just arrived.
We drop our stuff off at the coat check and head to the bathroom. That's just standard protocol.
Across the street, Max and his crew are at their favorite bar. He's feeling tense.
I get overwhelmed when everyone starts talking over each other.
Upstairs, Nick is getting ready for a long night of World of Warcraft. In the room next door, Lars dodges another call from his parents. They've been blowing up his phone for days. Meanwhile, Marco is the last one left at the office. He has a few more important deals to close.
I can work all night and only crash for a few hours around noon.
They all have one thing in common.
They're doing cocaine.
They do coke.
L.
They snort the
I was
white
just
powder
kidding,
through a small tube or through rolled up bills. That's not just a cliche.
just joking about that.
Most people take cocaine by snorting it. Coke is everywhere in Europe. Surveys indicate that over 1.2% of all Europeans between the ages of 15 and 64 do cocaine at least once a year. Among the 15 to 34-year-olds, it's almost 3%. That's roughly 2.7 million people.
Es gibt kaum eine Gruppe, in der Kokain nicht angekommen ist.
Heike Zurhold is a sociologist and criminologist. We met her at the University Medical Center in Hamburg. She probably knows cocaine users, at least here in Germany, better than any other researcher.
Ja, wahrscheinlich.
Zurhold studies addiction here at the Center for Interdisciplinary Addiction Research. She's spent the last several years interviewing hundreds of users from all walks of life and their cocaine use. The hype around the substance worries her. So does the fact that many people believe they can handle it just fine. Some can, but others lose control without even realizing it.
I'm in love with the
Coco.
Research indicates a trend over the last few years. Young people in Europe are drinking and smoking less on average, but using significantly more cocaine. Heike Zurhold explains this has a lot to do with its ever-increasing availability. Cocaine has never been easier to come by. Global production is hitting new highs every year, and coke is quick and easy to consume, making it a perfect fit for our fast-paced world. But what exactly happens inside the heads of people on cocaine?
Oh, I wonder.
When we laugh, our brains release dopamine. Dopamine motivates us and drives our desire to take action. It's widely considered a key part of the reward system in our brains. During an orgasm, dopamine levels in the brain rise by about 80%. With crystal meth, that number jumps to around 1,400%, which is why the drug is so incredibly addictive.
Da kann man sich ungefähr die Dimension vorstellen, wie stark dieser Kick ist und wie unvergesslich ein solcher Zustand ist schon beim allerersten Konsum.
This is Professor Mulick from Chemnitz University. We talked to him for our documentary on crystal meth. The link is in the description. A cocaine rush isn't as intense as the one you get from meth. According to some estimates, coke increases dopamine release by around 200 to 400% when it's snorted, depending on dosage and purity. Still, it's a massive kick.
Crushing that powder almost felt like a ritual because you knew that very soon everything would feel a bit more intense. Everything would shine a bit brighter.
I can feel it in my nose, feel it slowly running down my throat.
That's how you know it's getting into your system.
Your heartbeat picks up, everything is pulsing. Your whole body is tingling and you can automatically feel your mood go up.
All of a sudden you feel strong and pumped.
I feel prettier on the outside too.
Maybe I'll play. Okay.
Like I'm growing from the inside. You just feel bigger and extremely confident.
It's just him with his boys. I mean,
happy, man.
Maybe
like,
I get to
genuinely happy. I get to enjoy life. It's just a really cool feeling.
From the nasal cavity, the substance quickly makes its way through the mucous membrane and into the brain. The high kicks in within just a few minutes.
A few minutes?
Heart rate and blood pressure rise. Breathing gets faster and body temperature starts to climb. With cocaine, the most intense part of the high hits within 15 minutes. That's when you reach peak euphoria and feel the most uplifted. It keeps you awake and makes you feel invincible, cool, and uninhibited. Over the next hour or so, that effect fades.
That seems inaccurate, no?
There are many reasons why people use cocaine. Sociologist Heike Zurhold has identified 4 main user groups, and they correspond surprisingly well with what our community told us in their messages. By far the largest group is recreational users.
That's rock. I'm watching a video, and it's educational. They say cocaine takes minutes to kick in. Is this true? Yeah, for like, yeah, interesting. No, I don't know about this. I don't know.
Cocaine on a night out. I can feel my face when I'm with you.
Many users take cocaine at parties, mostly on weekends. The problem is that some end up taking too much of it or mixing it with alcohol. Linda is one of them. Tonight, she wants to go all in.
Have fun, a couple of beers, a couple of lines, connect with friends. I guess that's what I want out of a good night out.
It only takes a quick trip to the club bathroom to shake off all that nasty weekday stress. Linda feels awake, confident, and ready to party till dawn.
That's when the grinning starts. They've done a line and I've done a line, and we all just look at each other and smile.
To really feel the music at a concert.
Without it, you couldn't really last a whole night at a Berlin club.
Linda doesn't stop at one line. To make it through the whole night, she'll be heading to the bathroom a few more times to top herself up. After an hour, the effect is gone. That's when many feel the need.
Even though this is true, almost all of the, I would assume, even in Europe, always mix with speed all the time. Almost 100% of the time, mixed with speed, they would at least have some high still of a stimulant.
Need to take more.
Some leftover.
Zurhold urges users to keep track of time and take long breaks between doses to avoid ODing. For Linda and other users, partying on cocaine has another beneficial side effect. She can handle more alcohol. At least, that's what it feels like.
I don't know shit, but I know more than you, but it is what it is.
So she has a few more drinks than usual.
How many times I can tell you? Bro. A bunch of my friends used to sell drugs all the time. What about it?
And she's not alone.
Man hat oft das Gefühl, dass man unter Kokain nicht betrunken wird. Das ist aber falsch. Natürlich wird man auch betrunken, man merkt es nur nicht.
Well, I knew after the fact that
The mix of cocaine and alcohol
I heard
creates a
that through
byproduct called
rumor.
cocaethylene in the body. It acts similarly to cocaine, but stays in the system much longer. That increases the risk of a fatal overdose by up to 25 times. When you work the door at a club, alcohol is off limits. But before his shift, Tony's already done his first line of the night.
Sometimes I'll do it with a coworker, as a sort of social interaction, you know?
Tony belongs to the second group, those who use cocaine as a social icebreaker, to loosen up around other people. He's shy and introverted by nature, which isn't always ideal when you work as a bouncer. Making small talk with guests is much easier on coke.
These days, it just helps me talk through all the crap you have to say all night. Like, hey, what's up? Can I see some ID? And I'm gonna have a look at your bag. It's always the same small talk, over and over.
And Tony's not the only one.
Wir haben sozusagen eine Gruppe, die soziale Hemmungen haben, die schüchtern sind, die sagen, ich komme nicht gut in großen Gruppen klar. Da ist Kokain etwas, was ihnen hilft, etwas Hemmung zu verlieren, ein größeres Selbstbewusstsein zu haben.
Yeah, more tell me. Interesting.
Cocaine heavily stimulates the central nervous system. It boosts the release of dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine, among other things. Inhibitions drop, confidence spikes. Some of these effects actually intensify with frequent use, like the inflated sense of confidence. Others, like the burst of euphoria, fade with time. The brain adapts to the substance and develops a certain tolerance. Zurhold explains that the more you integrate cocaine use into your daily life, the rarer the pleasurable effects become. To feel them again, users have to take long breaks. Frequent and excessive use can also have lasting effects on the brain. Studies suggest that cocaine can damage both the structure and function of the brain. Severe cases can even lead to personality changes. Instead of becoming more social, long-term users are often described as increasingly antisocial and narcissistic.
That stuff destroys your soul. There's no other way to put it.
I was almost pushy with my boyfriend on coke, and more aggressive. But at the same time, I got super sensitive.
Jesus, don't do
Coke
that.
turns you into an animal. I get so aggressive and barbaric. And sometimes I just enjoy just dropping politeness and randomly screaming at people.
Zurhold confirms that aggression is a common behavioral side effect. Many heavy users eventually stop functioning in groups, isolating themselves and retreating into compulsive habits like endless YouTube binges or gaming marathons. Lars hasn't left his room for days. He skipped work 3 days in a row. He's basically done nothing but order pizza, scroll through TikTok, and snort coke.
And watch Fern, apparently.
Max would also prefer to crash in his couch, but he's forced himself out tonight, and coke helps him cope with larger groups of people.
If I'm invited somewhere, like to a loud bar with 10 people talking at once, I just know I'll need a line beforehand. Otherwise, I can't handle it. All those people talking over each other and that heavy background noise.
Something strange happens when Max does coke. Instead of stimulating him, it calms him down. It slows his thoughts. That's because Max has ADHD.
Of course, I feel more awake in general, but when you have ADHD, everything just starts to feel calmer. Because all that stuff that usually floods in,
like
you
I said,
can
it has
suddenly
speed in
filter
it.
out and
Yo.
focus really well.
I wish they introduced that into the video. That how common, if not almost all the time, there's speed in there. Like that matters a lot in this.
Max uses coke as a sort of
story.
self-prescribed medicine. That puts him in the next user group, self-medicators. Zurhold says that for people with ADHD or depression, cocaine can subjectively feel like it helps, although in reality, it makes it worse. The way cocaine acts is similar to some ADHD meds. Put simply, it stimulates areas of the brain that tend to be underactive in people with ADHD.
Wait, speed isn't.
For example,
that doesn't mean
the
stimulant,
cocaine-infused
it's just
dopamine surge can temporarily compensate for an ADHD-related lack of dopamine, making affected users feel calmer and more focused. But this relief can backfire fast. People who get used to solving their problems with cocaine are at a higher risk of slipping into addiction. Those post-high crashes can deepen depression and even increase the risk of suicidal thoughts. Real help doesn't come from a substance. It comes from reaching out and getting support. Max started using more and more too. What began as occasionally before going out turned into every day at work.
If If I knew I had work on a larger project, then I'd treat myself to a little bump to get started, sometimes even in the morning. But most of the time I just start using around midday.
That puts him in the last and probably the smallest of the four groups, those who do coke to perform. Zurhold explains that this group includes people who need to deliver, at work, during sports, or in any other setting that requires stamina. Cocaine doesn't actually increase performance, but it keeps users awake, alert, and on the job longer.
Definitely can't
Marco can barely get through work without it anymore. He's self-employed and often works through the night, only crashing around noon the next day.
It's extremely hard for me to keep my sales this high without the substance. It sounds bad, but thanks to coke, I don't depend on any employer.
This is a feeling many users in the group share.
As a recruiter, I spend days making calls and nights writing emails to potential candidates.
I was heavily addicted for 2 years. I had just started my own business and just wanted to keep performing.
Like you understand, like if it wasn't mixed with speed, I mean, let's keep it a bucket. Like if 15 minutes, these guys aren't binging every day, all fucking night doing this shit every 15 minutes. Whatever. It doesn't make sense.
For a long time, coke had the image of a luxury drug for top-earning, overly ambitious high performers.
It'd be insane expensive. It wouldn't even make sense.
To success in this racket is this little baby right here. It's called cocaine. Right.
But Zurhold says that's changed. Those people still exist, but coke has long since reached other worlds. Shift work, for example.
To make sure we all get home safe from work at the aluminium plant, I need to stay awake and flawless.
The drug is also used in other sectors, like nursing.
I do coke to get through my hospital shifts.
In my first year as a social care worker, I did 0.5 gram per 5-hour shift.
But there's one industry where cocaine seems especially common: restaurants and bars, starting with bouncers like Tony, bartenders.
This way I don't get too drunk when I have a drink with the guests.
Waiters.
I could do the work of 2 waiters when I was on it.
And even cooks.
And I think gastronomy is one of the worst industries for it. Like 70 to 80% of the people there do it.
Men especially use coke, roughly 2 to 3 times as much, according to Zurhold. No matter who wants it, they can get it. Ridiculously easy and incredibly fast. Linda lives in a small town in eastern Germany.
And that's it about you go to any club, you go to the bathroom at like prime time club hours, whatever. But everybody's doing coke in the fucking bathroom. Come on, bro. Like
for her, coke is just a phone call away.
One call or a short message is all it
Like,
takes, especially in small
80%
towns.
of the people in the
don't
bathroom
expect that.
are doing cocaine.
But I feel like,
Like,
especially in East Germany,
bro.
it's really, really easy to get drugs, even hard ones.
It's no different for Tony at the club.
Even if you don't know anyone in the city, you can just walk into a club and get your hands on something in under 5 minutes. I promise.
In major European cities like Berlin, Madrid, Vienna, or Amsterdam, so-called drug taxis deliver cocaine right to your door within minutes. In this case, accessibility is part of a much bigger and very serious problem. In other cases, fast and easy access is exactly what you want.
Oh, okay.
Like when you're trying to a gram of coke costs roughly 60 to 80 euros. Some estimates put street prices as low as 20 euros per gram in Luxembourg and up to 140 euros per gram in Finland. Producing that same gram costs just 1 to 3 euros. The difference is pocketed by smugglers, middlemen, and dealers. To further boost profits, the product also gets cut and sometimes contaminated with anything that vaguely resembles white powder. Speed, amphetamine, caffeine pills, and milk sugar. But one of the most common cutting agents is levamisole, a medication used to treat parasitic worm infections in large livestock. It looks a lot like cocaine, and once metabolized, it can even mimic some of its effects. But there's also good news. Well, sort of.
Also wir wissen, dass Kokain momentan einen Reinheitsgehalt von 80% hat. Das heißt, es sind 20% Streckmittel. Das war mal viel dramatischer.
The 2025 European Drug Report confirms these numbers. Average cocaine purity is on an upward trend and has increased by 34% over the last decade. But higher purity poses new dangers. It increases the risk of overdosing. The purer the substance, the smaller the margin for error. If you don't know how to adjust your dose to match the purity, you're in trouble. In many European countries, drug checking, also known as pill testing, has become a key harm reduction practice.
Is that EU?
Users can go to qualified facilities to anonymously test substances like cocaine for purity and dangerous additives. You can also test your drugs at many clubs and festivals.
Yeah,
We've
with the
listed some
region
helpful
kits and
resources for finding testing sites in the description.
I don't think this is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
But the purest cocaine, of course, is still found where it all begins. Here, in Colombia, on the eastern slopes of the
The problem is that the region kits are gonna react to what is in it and not what it doesn't have, though. That's the main problem, though. So sometimes this is this cool, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have the other shit in it. That's the main problem with the region kits and whatnot.
Grows an inconspicuous green shrub,
XQC
the coca plant. It's been part of South American indigenous culture for thousands of years. People here were already chewing coca leaves some 4,000 to 8,000 years ago. Ever since, coca leaves have been serving as fuel for exhausting journeys across the towering Andes.
Wait, the towering Andes?
Is fuel for exhausting journeys across the towering Andes. The Inca treated the coca plant as sacred. They often used it in rituals and religious ceremonies. In the early 17th century, sailors brought coca leaves from South America to Europe. By the mid-19th century, German chemist Albert
if they got high off of chewing the leaf,
Niemann discovered that he could extract a white powder from them.
How did it not get fucking hooked and just
In
fucking...
1862, German pharmaceutical company Merck first produced the substance for commercial sale. A year later, French chemist Angelo Mariani created a medical cocktail made from Bordeaux wine and coca leaves. This special wine was produced by soaking 60 grams of coca leaves in a liter of wine for 10 hours. The alcohol drew out the active compound in the coca leaves. Rumor has it, Mariani originally created the drink as medicine for an actress suffering from depression. Later on, it allegedly became Pope Leo XIII's favorite drink.
Oh, okay.
A few years later, American pharmacist John Pemberton took inspiration from
imagine how much
Mariani's
paperwork the Pope must have been doing when he was busted on that,
concoction.
man.
Alcohol
must
was
have been
controversial
doing
in the
all
US
the
back
work,
then.
man.
So Pemberton dropped the wine and added cola nuts, which contained caffeine. Then he flavored the bitter drink with lavender, caramel, cinnamon, and sugar, and topped the bottles off with soda water. In 1886, the first iteration of Coca-Cola was born. At first, a liter of Coca-Cola reportedly contained about 250 milligrams of cocaine. Some sources have even speculated about an insane 3.5 grams per bottle. The exact formula and cocaine content remain a secret to this day. It's possible the drink never actually contained cocaine, but mainly ecgonine, a natural but non-addictive coca compound.
I mean, it seems like a lot, though.
Cocaine was already used in medicine before the invention of Coca-Cola.
For just a Coke?
First in analgesic eye drops, and later as a local anesthetic. By the late 19th century, cocaine was all over Europe. Snorted or consumed as menthol eucalyptus lozenges to cure sore throats. One pill every 4 to 6 hours, each containing around 3 milligrams of cocaine. Kids were even given cocaine toothache drops.
They were
sold
what?
at the pharmacy, no prescription needed. Then, in 1914, the Harrison Narcotic Act took effect in the U.S., banning cocaine from soft drinks and over-the-counter drugs.
Why?
That same year, World War I broke out, and British soldiers started using cocaine as a stimulant.
That makes sense.
By World War II, German, British, American, and Japanese troops all turned to amphetamines. You may have heard of tank chocolate or airman's marzipan. Today, the medical use of cocaine is limited to a few rare cases where it's still used as a local anesthetic. You won't find it in sodas or on pharmacy shelves anymore. And yet, global cocaine production is at a historic high.
Yeah, for the countries that are
Today,
cold, it must have been
most
terrible
of the
for
cocaine
frostbite
sold
and shit,
and
no?
consumed around the globe comes from just 3 countries: Peru, Bolivia, and above all, Colombia. The coca plants are grown on vast plantations
XQC
alongside
or
bananas,
something like
coffee, and palm oil. For many farmers, coca makes economic sense. The plant is resilient and can be harvested up to 7 times a year. Growing coca is often far more profitable than farming legal crops.
The income I earn from coca allows me and my family to get what we need to live. Only the essentials.
There are different ways to produce cocaine, but all of them start the same way, with harvesting, which is done entirely by hand.
That's gotta be capping. That's gotta be capping.
First, the leaves are chopped up. Then, they're sprinkled with fertilizer and dusted with lime. The fertilizer helps release the active substance from the coca leaves. The mixture is often soaked in gasoline to boost extraction. Most farmers work with little to no protective gear. Then the leaves sit overnight in large barrels or holes in the ground. They're repeatedly doused with gasoline, stirred, and stomped on until the concoction starts to curdle. After the liquid is extracted from the mixture, sulfuric acid and water are added to it. This pulp has to be filtered again until you get this thick paste, the so-called coca paste. In the final stages, adding carbonate salt and diethyl ether produces a white mass that the workers dry by boiling. A few final chemical tweaks create the fine white powder that ends up in millions of noses around the world. In 2022 alone, an estimated 2,700 tons of cocaine were produced in South America.
Yo, it doesn't make sense. So check, guys. If the white that people get is, they say it's, oh dude, it's whatever, what is it? What did they say? It was like 85% pure, something like that. Whatever, bro. If when they make it, it's like fucking like a beige kind of half dark beige, whatever. 80% and it's white like that. That's cap. That's cap. It's just cap.
Across the production and supply chains, drug cartels call the shots. For decades, authorities worldwide have been waging a bitter war against them. In Colombia alone,
it is not
6 decades of drug-fueled conflict have killed around 450,000 people, displaced more than 8 million, and forced tens of thousands of children out of school. Some South American countries have been partly labeled failed states. In these regions, extremely rich and powerful cartels have successfully infiltrated and taken control of the government.
Que la guerra contra las drogas ha fracasado rotundamente.
When we think of cartels, we immediately jump to Pablo Escobar and Colombia's Medellin or Cali outfits.
Look, I typed to Google what it looks like, pure cocaine. Look, it's a beige. I was like, you're wrong. You were wrong. It's crazy. Like, it's insane. It is not the white you think it is.
But those big Colombian cartels were dismantled in the 1990s. The resulting power vacuum has been filled by Mexican syndicate. They dominate the global cocaine trade to this day. The most important players are the Sinaloa cartel and the fast-rising Jalisco New Generation cartel, or CJNG. On the ground, they partner with criminal guerrilla groups, the Gulf Clan, Colombia's National Liberation Army, or ELN, or the Central General Staff, EMC. For international distribution, they cooperate with some of the world's most notorious mafia networks, from Chinese triads and the Albanian mafia to Italy's Ndrangheta. These criminal organizations each manage local retail in their respective domestic markets. South America has become one of the world's major hubs for organized crime. From here, cocaine fans out to every corner of the globe. There are countless ways to move cocaine across borders. Trafficking to North America is often handled via undeclared flights or clandestine fishing boats. It's a never-ending cat-and-mouse game between traffickers and law enforcement agents.
Yeah.
One that forces smugglers to get creative. Some cartels have started to build their own semi-submersible high-tech vessels. We made a whole video about these so-called...
It's too lucrative. Just off the basis of how much they can check in general, they can just spam... They can do the spam meta. They just spam imports and say, alive it gets caught, and it's just breakage. And
narco subs.
And it's still a massive product. That's fucking busted as shit.
Most of the cocaine heading to Europe is hidden in massive cargo ships. This contraband has been found inside all kinds of objects. Books, surfboards, car tires, pumpkins, and even inside walking aids for the elderly. But one hiding place still reigns supreme for all EU-bound traffic. Banana crates. About 200 million banana boxes are imported into the EU each year. Finding the ones stuffed with cocaine is like looking for a proverbial needle in a haystack. The North Sea has become one of the main entry points. The port of Antwerp, in Belgium, is widely considered Europe's biggest drug gateway, followed by Rotterdam in the Netherlands. But Hamburg, Germany's biggest port, is quickly catching up. These German customs officers are desperately trying to find a few kilos of coke hidden somewhere inside a giant cargo ship.
Is it also a new tech
But even
machine
if
that
they do
can
find the
check
stash,
stuff?
it'll
Better?
barely put a dent in the avalanche of illegal drugs moving across borders. In 2004, German authorities seized just under a ton of cocaine. By 2024, that number had jumped to over 40 tons. This is in line with a Europe-wide trend. In 2023, a total of 419 tons of cocaine were seized, marking the 7th consecutive annual high.
Tatsächlich stellen wir und die Polizei.
Wait. Huh?
Were seized, marking the 7th consecutive annual high.
Tatsächlich stellen wir und die Polizei auch fest, dass egal wie viel Kokain wir sicherstellen, das hat keine Auswirkung auf den Straßenverkaufspreis.
Chat, is that more than the fucking world economy combined? Then I'm confused.
Oder auf die da zur Verfügung stehende Menge. Also das tatsächlich, es ist unbeschreiblich viel.
And along with this white powder moving into Europe comes another harmful phenomenon: violence.
Yeah, tons. Yeah, I know tons.
This is a
Put that
street in
into
the heart
dollars.
of Amsterdam, filled with bars and restaurants. It's
much
July 2021,
is
just before
420
7:30 p.m.
tons of
A man in a light-colored
cocaine
suit walks down the
in
street,
street
eyes
value
fixed on his
USD.
phone. His name is Peter de Vries. He's one of the Netherlands' most famous crime reporters, a familiar face
not
on
much.
TV when it comes to the mafia or organized crime. Right
80
now, he's
billion.
investigating a Moroccan group known as the Mokra Mafia, another organization heavily involved in cocaine trafficking. De Vries is advising the key witness in a major trial. Shortly after the case began, the witness's brother and lawyer were both murdered. De Vries has just left a TV studio. He's heading to a parking garage to get his car. Seconds after he walks down the street, he's followed by a police car. After the car passes around the corner, 5 shots are fired. De Vries is hit several times, at least once in the head. It's a targeted killing. He's rushed to the hospital in critical condition and dies 9 days later.
A man who stood for justice. That is exactly what is so unacceptable. That this horrible injustice happened to him.
In 2024, 3 men are sentenced to up to 28 years in prison for his murder.
Berichten zufolge ließ ihn der Angeklagte mutmaßliche Mafiaboss auf eine Todesliste setzen.
Organized crime long ago gained a foothold in Europe's major cities. In 2016, a severed head was found outside an Amsterdam cafe alleged to be a hangout for drug dealers. In Sweden, gang and drug-related violence has been claiming more and more lives in recent years. In some cases, even teenagers were recruited as hitmen. In 2024, several explosions and shootings in the German city of Cologne were linked to drug-related gang violence. According to the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction, violence and homicide are major manifestations of the illegal drug trade. A Dutch research team found that these killings are often acts of compensation for failure to pay for or deliver drugs. Other attacks are meant to intimidate rivals or assert a certain position in the scene. It's actually a lot like it is in the movies.
Okay.
Cocaine represents deadly narcissism and toxic masculinity, but also power and wealth in general, luxury and excess, the ultimate fantasy of defiance and freedom. That image still seems to appeal to a lot of people, and not all of them are criminals.
That's an interesting portrayal.
3:52 a.m. Linda's moved on to an after party. Tony's shift is almost over. Marco's hopefully done
Alrighty
too.
then.
Nick is still playing World of Warcraft. Lars and Max have already called it a night.
An MP?
A new day begins.
Depending on how the stuff was cut, I sometimes end up with a bloody nose and a bit of a headache.
I
Yeah,
actually
that's
regret it the
not
next
good.
day, like always. And I keep regretting it for a few days after too, because I feel sluggish. My nose hurts. Everything kind of tastes like Coke. Life just feels a bit dull, with less drive and less joy.
Es ist tatsächlich auch so, dass nach dem Konsum einige Leute von Depressionen berichten, von schlechter Stimmung, von Trübsinn, ne, von Antriebslosigkeit.
Oh,
also
yeah,
das
that
ist
makes
natürlich
sense,
von
yeah.
Menschen zu Menschen verschieden, aber das ist tatsächlich relativ
Well, I mean, they're
häufig,
depleted, right?
dass sowas berichtet wird. Und das kann schon auch mal 2 Tage dauern.
That's why long breaks between doses are so important. Because for those who use too much too often, the side effects can hit hard. Many heavy users experience heart palpitations. Extreme cases can lead to full-on heart attacks. Some people get paranoid because they feel like something's crawling under their skin, as if they had insects inside their body. Over
Ants,
time,
not the
Lars's
ants.
cocaine use has spiraled out of control. He cut off contact with his family and friends and ignored their calls. At some point, his roommate felt obliged to call his parents. They cried on the phone when he broke it to them. Lars is seriously addicted to coke. He really needs your help. Today, they're picking him up from rehab. They're in tears again, but this time it's tears of joy. Lars has been clean for 6 weeks, and he's determined to keep it that way. Max has also pulled the plug.
For me, it was about money, health, and having to constantly hide it from my family, like my friends and my partner. It just got too exhausting. All of that just to get through the day.
Max has been off cocaine for 3 months now, but fighting addiction is anything but easy. It's the psychological addiction that's so hard to overcome.
That makes sense.
And that's often much tougher to beat than anything physical.
For real.
It's hard to capture addictiveness in a single chart, but researchers have spent years mapping and comparing psychological and social harm across substances. Cocaine consistently ranks among the most addictive drugs, legal or illegal. When it's smoked as crack,
Well, I mean, yeah, same thing. I was about to say, I mean, crack is...
it even tops the list. Getting off the drug means constantly fighting that little voice in your head, that voice that keeps whispering, you can't make it
Crack
through
is
a
not
long
Giga
party
Chad.
night without coke.
That is
You
not
can't do your
Giga
job at
Chad.
the door unless you're high. Gaming is only fun when you're wired.
At some point, I was using every day. That dopamine hit is actually pretty wild when you're gaming. But then I cut back and realized I couldn't really enjoy it anymore without Coke.
Bei Kokain sehe ich einfach das große Risiko, also dass man eben denkt, man hat das Konsumverhalten noch unter Kontrolle und merkt gar nicht, wie es immer mehr wird.
In every new round of World of Warcraft, Nicholas has to remind himself that he doesn't actually need Coke to enjoy the game. He's been staying clear of the white powder for months now.
Es gibt bestimmte körperliche Voraussetzungen, bei denen man definitiv kein Kokain nehmen sollte, weil das einfach dann zu gefährlich ist für den Körper.
That's why it's so important
rounds,
to
guys,
have people.
it can be rounds. Maybe he's a guy who plays arena. He plays arena and he likes to
People like Heike Zurhold
Get-
doing
get
the
a
work she
little-
does,
a little key in
researching,
between- in between
informing,
arena matches,
and helping
man.
people find a way out before it's too late. Cocaine might seem harmless for some, a boost at work, a party pick-me-up, a quick confidence fix, or an escape from everyday stress. But the illusion of control
I
is
find out
part
a
of the
review like
trap.
that on WoW for
Over
sure.
time, tolerance builds, addiction creeps in, and the risks pile up. Heart problems, paranoia, anxiety, and serious damage to mental health. Cocaine doesn't make life bigger. It slowly takes it apart. For people dealing with depression, ADHD, or emotional struggles, it can be even more dangerous. The post-high
is.
crashes can deepen the lows, feed addiction, and even push people toward self-harm. Real help doesn't come from a substance. It comes from connection, from talking to someone, from getting help. So if you're struggling, reach out. Talk to a friend, a therapist, a hotline, anyone you trust. And if you know someone who might need to hear this, send them this video. We need to talk about cocaine. We need to talk to each other.
It's also. Remember the video we watched about the rats and the cocaine, and it states in. I think I understand that. It's a big societary problem also, where the rats given cocaine in their cage that were bored. There's nothing to do in the cage. They would drink the cocaine until they died. They would just drink cocaine, and then they would die. And then they put multiple rats in a cage with stuff to do, and almost none of them would ever drink the cocaine because they're busy doing shit. They're doing some stuff. enjoying the life. They don't have to. They don't want to do the cocaine.
I can see why Europeans would do coke. Imagine work a long work week and going to a bar with your friends and all you got there is room temperature beer and dog shit bar food.
And then you get fucked up.
Have you ever
and you're
done
like,
a
I need to go
soda
for,
stream,
I need some food.
XQC
And all they have to serve is beans on toast.
So
I mean,
the
fuck it. At that point,
business
fuck the
is
cocaine.
smoking
I'm doing
cocaine.
crack. Fuck it.
With the kind of dog shit takes
Skip the middle, man. I'm
without any
bro.
research.
I hit the crack pipe. I'm just kidding. Sorry.